Welcome to the StoneRidge software video series for batch manufacturers. Our batch industry solutions are powered by Yavion ProBatch and Netronic, running on Dynamics 365 Business Central. In this video, we'll be looking at purchase planning, production scheduling, replenishment, as well as visual scheduling. So let's dig into the product. We're going to look at a specific item, bill of material, routing, etc., and walk us through the planning process as well as some visual scheduling that can be done within Business Central. And I'm going to start by looking at this croissant item right here. And we're really going to just focus on the BOM structure and the planning at this point. So we're not going to look at a lot of the other configuration details that are available. But first, what I want to do is just really look at our the structure of our BOM itself. So our croissant, obviously that's our output item. If we open this up, that's consisting of a dough as well as some packaging materials. We do have the work center information here for baking, cooling, packaging, etc. The croissant dough is a subassembly. So in here, I've got the dough recipe as well as some manufacturing components to make the dough. So fairly simple, straightforward, two-level bill of material. Again, the dough, raw materials going into that. Croissant that has the subassembly as well as the raw material. Okay, let's look at the replenishment options. And the first thing to notice on the croissant is this is a manufactured item. So I have a production order. I do have a manufacturing specification defining the routing as well as the bill of material. We look at that in a different video. I'm going to look at the planning parameters now. And what I've really set up is I'm planning for the croissant, but essentially I don't have any order modifiers on here. So what I'm going to get in terms of planning is the actual output requirements needed to fulfill the demand. Okay, so for this particular item. So let's look at the setup options for the croissant dough. So again, this is the subassembly item. Replenishment method again is going to be a production order. We're not going to specifically go through the manufacturing specification, but I have an associated BOM and routing. What I want to show here is that I've got batch size requirements for my dough. So I need to make that in 650-pound batches. So what I've done is I've restricted minimum maximum to 650 pounds. So for planning purposes, if I need something less than 650, I'm still going to get a planned batch size of 650. If I need something more than 650, it's going to do it in, it's going to do the planning in increments of 650 pounds. So that's the components that I wanted to look at for the croissant dough. I've got a couple of raw materials that are mixed. So I have some that have some minimum purchase batch sizes, and then I have some that are just going to purchase the quantity required. So either way that you might need to do purchasing or planning, fixed size, fixed batch sizes, or just the quantity required, we should be good to go. So just note that I have a sales order in the system already for 3 pallets of croissants. Now you'll notice I'm going to manufacture these at a case level, so I also am doing some unit to measure conversions here. So 3 pallets converts to X number of cases, and that's what my the basis of my plan is going to have to fulfill. All right, so I'm going to go into my planning worksheet next, and currently there's nothing here, so I'm going to prepare, and I'm going to calculate the full plan. You do notice that I have master production scheduling as well as material requirements planning available to me. These could be split. I'm running them together. I'm running a fairly broad range of demand dates, and then I'm just going to run it for my bakery item. So I'm going to let this process. And what you're going to notice is it is going through my bill of material. So it's doing, it's analyzing my supply and my demand across all the levels of my bill of material, including my um, subassemblies as well as the purchase raw materials. It is using lead time calculations, et cetera, in this as well. I'm not really going to go into that, but it does take into account production time as well as lead time on the raw materials. Okay, so this is what the system says that I need to either make or purchase. So production order is going to be something that I'm going to make. These are suggested purchase orders that I need to fulfill. Now, what you're going to notice here is I have my croissant, and those 3 pallets calculate to a quantity of cases of 84. And if I look at line availability by event, what I want to show you is the breakdown or the visibility to the croissant. So what you're going to notice here is there's my sales order for the 84 cases, and then here's my suggested production order for fulfillment of the 84. And again, it's it's suggesting 84 because that's the actual demand that I have. Next thing to look at is that my dough, if you remember, I had the minimum batch sizes on my dough. So what the system has done is it says I actually need 3 batches of croissant dough of 650 each, 650 pounds each, to then finish the production for those 84 cases. So what I want to do is I want to, oops, I don't want to look at the message. I actually want to carry out the action message. This actually allows me to merge those production orders together. So if in the case of the 650, for some reason, it requested 650 batch sizes, but I could actually create a single production order for those, I could merge those together. I could carry out action messages for all of these transactions. And what's going to happen then is the system will create production orders and the associated purchase orders required. um, did want to note that I have some minimum purchase sizes here as well. So for the labels, for example, I want 5,000 labels as, again, my minimum purchase volume. So that's where that 5,000 is coming from. Okay, I'm going to go on my home here, and then I'm actually going to carry out the action messages, which is going to um, generate then the transactions that I'm requesting. So if it was production orders, it's going to create production orders. If it was purchase orders, it would create purchase orders. The system can also create transfer orders, and those scenarios would be the case where I might have a production facility and I might be storing in another warehouse product. The system then would generate a transfer order to move those. Okay, so it created the transactions that I requested. Again, I'm just going to leave the purchase orders here um, for a future view, but I created the production orders for me. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go over to the visual production scheduler from Medtronic, and I'm going to show all orders. And I want to take a look now at my production schedule. So the system created the production orders, and now I'm going to view them in the system. And there's a lot of configuration options here in terms of how I would view these, what I want to see, if I want to see capacity, etc. I've really just streamlined this down so we're looking at the single set of production orders that I just created. So what you'll notice here is I have the 3 production orders for the dough. I must have 3 machines because I can generate those at the same time. So I'm creating the 3 batches independent from each other. They're going to go into then my baking and cooling section here, which is going to be the actual making of the croissant. So you can see that I've got a little Gantt chart here that ties those. Let me back this up a little bit more. You might be able to see it. So the Gantt chart is showing me that I've got the 3 batches going to this production order, and then that finished production order is going to go into the packing department. So that connects us all together. I do have the ability to do drag and drop. So if I want to reassign a particular production order, if I actually can't maybe run those, I have to run them sequentially. I can't run 2 at the same time. It will then rearrange things for me, and I can actually start baking. That's why I didn't move that cooling section there, because I can start on the batch prior to this one being done. So that just is a quick view looking at the planning system, as well as some visual scheduling that is a part of Business Central, as well as the ProBatch and eAvion components. Encourage you to follow us on LinkedIn, follow-ups, webinars, other events that are available. Check out our resource page at stoneridgesoftware.com. And if you do want to talk to us about this, about other questions that you might have, feel free to reach out to solutions@stoneridgesoftware.com, and we will connect you with the appropriate team member.